Riddle me this. 5 Dolton police officers sat for the sergeant exam. 2 passed. 3 failed to make a passing score, but 4 were promoted. Now, I know the math isn't mathing, and of course, I'll explain everything. Now, the village of Dolton is once again in the national spotlight, embroiled in a deepening scandal, this time involving Mayor Tiffany Henyard and Police Chief Lacey. The lawsuit has been brought forth by Officer Jeffrey Devries and his attorney, who allege that out of the 5 officers who sat for the sergeant exam, only 2 received passing scores: Officer Devries and another female officer. Yet, 4 officers were promoted, and guess what? Officer Devries was not one of them. So we'll explain all of that and go through the complaint so you'll know exactly what the allegations are and exactly who got promoted. Now, let's talk about it. But before we get started, just a sidebar. If this is your first time tuning into Southern Confidential, welcome. And to all of our returning subscribers and supporters, welcome back. Y'all remember that song? Yes. So please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you will receive all of our updates. We would love to have you as a part of the SC family. Now, back to the story. Okay, so the long and short of the complaint, according to Mr. Devries and his attorney, alleges corruption and misconduct, revealing a pattern of nepotism and abuse of power within the Dolton Police Department. Now, Mayor Henyard, an already controversial figure, due to the numerous accusations of financial mismanagement, public corruption, and of course, abuse of power, now faces fresh allegations that further tarnish her administration. Alongside her, though, is Police Chief Lacey, who stands accused of promoting officers who did not pass the police exam, while failing to promote Officer Jeffrey Devries, who had one of the highest scores. Now get that. So 5 people sit for the test, only 2 pass, but the one person with the highest score is the person who's not promoted. Now that is the epitome of corruption. This has to stop. Someone must put a stop to this corruption. So here's the long and short of the promotion controversy. The whistleblower exposes corruption. And shout out to Illinois Leaks, Edgar County Watchdogs, John Kraft, and Kirk Allen for the article and the information. An amended complaint was filed earlier this month in Cook County Circuit Courts, naming who else? Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard in her individual capacity. That's important, guys, to note. Dolton Police Chief Lacey, Lacey, that is, in his individual capacity. And of course, Dolton Border Fire and Police Commissioners, right? So, and then also they name member Devontae Stewart in his official capacity as defendants. So basically, they're calling them out in their individual capacity, like, hey, you're stepping outside of the scope of your job and breaking all the rules, and you're breaking the rules on behalf of the Dolton Border Fire and Police Commissioners as well. Now, the complaint alleges falsified police sergeant test scores. Now, guys, can it get any worse than us having law enforcement, unqualified and uncertified, running around here, y'all, acting a fool? No wonder they don't know when to drag someone out of a car, when to arrest somebody, beating them down, tasering them. Oh my Lord, no wonder it's all making sense. But it says the complaint alleges falsified police sergeant test scores, unlawful promotions, and that the BOFPC is required to have 3 commissioners. However, of course, Mayor Tiffany Henyard has yet to appoint any replacements for the 2 vacancies on the commission. Okay, guys, so here's where the water really gets darker and murkier, if that's even a word. So promotional testing for police sergeant was conducted, with all promotions shall be made from the 3 having the highest scores, right? That's according to the rules and regulations of the commission. Now, as I said earlier, 5 officers were tested and 3 of the 5 failed to qualify. Let's say that again. 5 officers were tested and 3 of the 5 failed to qualify. Now, I'm going to give you their names. Vincent Nunez failed, Terry Young failed, and Michael Gilhooly failed. All failed to qualify according to the article with the required 70% score, even after the chief merit points were included. So apparently they're given chief merit points for different things that they're doing while they're in the field. I guess the amount of tickets they write, or making the right decision with regard to law enforcement and all of the things that they do. Now, a final eligibility list must be created by a duly appointed commission during a public meeting. So y'all know that didn't happen, right? However, the list was published on November 3rd of 2023 without the required commission membership approving it. Of course, surprise, surprise, right? With the 5 individuals named, including 2 who passed and the 3 with their failing scores. So in other words, they're telling us that they're required to post it, and it's required to be done so during a meeting, and it wasn't, right? And so it goes on to say that on January 2nd, 2024, Henyard promoted 4, get this, if this ain't some crap, on January 2nd, 2024, Henyard promoted 4 of the 5 from the list to sergeant, even though it was not, first of all, on the Dolton's Board of Trustees meeting agenda, and even though 3 of those officers had failed the test, the village board never voted on this action, and then the highest scoring officer was not even promoted. Now, I'm telling you guys, this epitomizes corruption. It's sickening, right? So let's take a look at the meeting where Henyard expresses how proud she is of them for passing the test, allegedly knowing full well, y'all, knowing full well that some of those police officers had not passed the test and had not reached the minimum requirements to be promoted to sergeant.
Anybody that just passed a test, come on up. So proud of you. Come on up. So proud of y'all. So we're going to do it as a group, just so we clear for the residents so you understand what's going on. I'm going to say I, then each of you will say your name thereafter, and we're going to swear them in. They passed their test. So let's make some noise just for passing your test. I know that was hard. Congratulations. Yeah. All right. So here we go. You got?
No, I'll say them later.
Okay. So raise your right hand. Okay. Now I, say your name.
Hi, Marissa Curry.
Hi, Terry Young Jr.
Mike Yoholy.
Vincent Nunez.
All right. Y'all make some noise just for that. Having been appointed to the office of police sergeant in the village of Dolton, in the county of Cook, do solely swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of police sergeant for the village of Dolton to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Let him finish his part.
We'll would the families who are going to be pinning their loved ones come up, please?
James, can you come and get photos, please? Congratulations.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. You know what? I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to say this. I am so proud of these guys. When I say that they get out there and they do what they're supposed to do to serve the city of Dolton, they do it. So I'm very proud to promote them today with the leadership of the mayor. And guess what? Y'all working now.
Yeah, come on, guys.
And I'll say this as well. Congratulations to any of the sergeants that achieved a passing score legally and lawfully. Otherwise, not so much. So again, all of this is alleged until we get the final outcome. I'm assuming that may even be a part of the FBI probe, but we'll just have to see. And for the record, though, we will say this is alleged, although I think it pretty much speaks for itself. Okay, guys, so let's move on. So, and I'm reading from the lawsuit. In early October 2023, Devries, now that's the officer who had the highest score and who wasn't promoted to sergeant, filed an anonymous complaint with the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board after learning that a fellow officer was writing parking tickets without probable cause to boost revenue for the village. Now, that's a whole entirely different video because, you know, it's alleged that Miss Mayor is telling people to give out $500 tickets, but we'll talk about that on another video. And of course, guys, I'm skipping around. I know sometimes people get really annoyed with that, like, oh, you're not reading the entire lawsuit, but it is very long, guys. So I am skipping around on points that's important, right, for the conversation. So on November 6th, 2023, we're moving forward. Devries, the plaintiff, sent an email to Stewart explaining that the final eligibility list appeared to include individuals who did not qualify to appear on the list and that it violated the law to include those individuals on the list. Now, Stewart did not respond according to the lawsuits, and Commander Eric Price ordered Devries not to contact Stewart any further. Okay. So after his complaint, followed on November 2nd, 2023, then Stewart decides to post a final eligibility list for promotion to the rank of Sergeant of Police, Exhibit 1. So Devries, which is the plaintiff, the police officer bringing the complaint, all right, he ranked first on the list with a score of 72.9. And granted, guys, you need to make at least a 70. So Devries ranked first on the list with a score of 72.9. Marissa Curry, which is the only female, was second with a score of 70.5, followed by Vincent Nunez, who scored a 65.44, Terry Young, 64.82, and Michael Gilhooly with a 64.68. Now, the list included chief merit points in calculating eligibility. And of course, Devries would get the least amount of merit points because he's telling, right, the truth and actually operating in integrity. So Devries received 2 merit points. Curry, the only female, received 5 merit points, and Nunes received 5 merit points. Young 5, and Gilhooly 4. Now that's even worse. For the last 3 guys who didn't pass the test, they received more merit points, which boosted their scores, and they still didn't pass. But those are the people that were promoted to sergeant. Again, scary guys. These are the guys patrolling the streets and making decisions regarding people's freedom. And oh my goodness, this is scarier than I thought. And it gets worse, right? On January 8th, 2024, the sole member of the commission published a, get this guys, revised police sergeant promotional list with all 5 testers allegedly achieving passing scores. So magically, I'm assuming that they retested in that short amount of time, and all of a sudden, by osmosis, I'm imagining, they now have passing scores. Not only do they have passing scores, but check this out. There was no commission meeting, of course, no commission vote as required. And with only 1 commissioner, it should have been impossible to publish a revised list, let alone the original one that they posted. Okay, guys, moving on. If the village or Henyard desires to promote someone to the rank of sergeant of police, the village's board of trustees must vote to approve such promotions. The Illinois Open Meetings Act requires that an item of business should, as voting to promote individuals to rank of sergeant, must be posted on an agenda at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting where the vote of the board of trustees would occur. On January 2nd, 2024, the village and Henyard promoted, right, Curry, Nunes, Young, and Gilhooly to the rank of sergeant of police during a meeting of the village's board of trustees, of course, without lawful authority to do so. In other words, they're saying it wasn't posted, and it certainly wasn't posted 48 hours in advance as per the Open Meetings Act. Okay, and so the complaint further alleges that the village board of trustees did not vote to approve the promotions and was not given an opportunity to vote to approve the promotions from the final eligibility list as the law requires. What they're alleging is that Mayor Henyard simply issued an oath of office to Curry, Nunes, Young, and Gilhooly without a vote and without reference to the November 2nd, 2023 final eligibility list. Okay, guys, now this is a bit unbelievable, but nothing in this administration should surprise us. But here we go. So then the revised promotional list included chief merit points for Curry, Nunes, Gilhooly, and Young. All received 100 out of a possible 100 merit points. And then Devries received a whopping 55 merit points for a 55% of the total. Now, you guys know what that means, right? It basically means, well, no, guys. That wasn't their scores. Oh, you thought that was their final scores? They didn't make the 70%. No, guys, sorry. We actually gave them 100 points out of the 100 possible merit points that they could, receive. And so, no. It wasn't 70%. I mean, it wasn't the 65%. It was actually 90%. So let me give you the new scores, right? So after the plaintiff makes his, argument and his complaint, as he should have, here are the revised scores. So I quote as following. The revised final scores were Curry, 90.5%, Nunes, 84.44%, Gilhooly, 83.88%, Young, 83.82%. And listen, guys, the plaintiff, Devries, who originally had the highest score, right? He now has 83.58%. And even though Devries' percentage of merit points allegedly increased from 40 to 55 between November 2nd, 2023, final eligibility list, and the January 8th, 2024 final eligibility list. And that is some serious mixing of numbers, corruption. This, guys, this is crazy. Like, in other words, go ahead and fail it. We'll figure out to give them points. You told on us, we're going to fix this. And guess what? You're still not getting promoted. Allegedly. Guys, I promise you, you can't make this stuff up. Now, let's move on to January 30th, 2024. Devries, the plaintiff, police officer, was served, get this, with a notice of formal interrogation, and it's considered the notice. So the notice advised that Devries would be subject to a disciplinary interrogation on February 8th, 2024. And why did Officer Devries receive the notice? Well, on February 8th, 2024, Officer Devries appeared at the interrogation, which was conducted by Dolton Inspector Sylvester Baker, right? Devries was asked the following questions. A, did you have any conversation with Trustee Belcher regarding the sergeant's promotion list? B, have you met with Trustee Belcher on any other occasion? C, did you submit a complaint against the Dolton Police Department to the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standard Board? Yes, I did. Sir, I absolutely did, and it is my legal right to do so. Now, Devries answered in the affirmative that he had filed an anonymous complaint, and on February 28th, 2024, Inspector Baker notified Devries that allegations against him were sustained and a recommendation would be forwarded to Chief Lacey for approval. So don't be shocked, guys, because I am shocked enough for everyone. So on March 15th, 2024, get this, the village and Chief Lacey suspended Officer Devries for 5 days, get this, guys, for making the complaint. And then Chief Lacey is the only sworn officer with the authority, it appears, to discipline sworn officers. Okay, so I guess you don't get to make a complaint. You don't get to make an anonymous complaint with the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. I would think that he has a right to do that. But in his complaint, he described what he believed to be illegal parking citations issued by another member of the Dolton PD, right? And he chose to share this with an agency. For that, Officer Devries is being issued this negative incident report. So I guess what they're saying is that he's not allowed to make a complaint with an outside agency, maybe? Well, the suspension was an act of retaliation, is what his attorney is alleging. He and his attorney are alleging that it was an act of retaliation by the village and Chief Lacey in response to Officer Devries filing a complaint and questioning the final eligibility list. Drop the mic. Okay, so before we close, I'm going to give you the counts. In other words, what are his allegations? What would be brought forward in a court of law if this made it to trial before jury? Count 1, mandamus against the village of Dolton. Count 2, violation of the Illinois Whistleblower Act. Those are the 2 allegations, and we are rooting for Officer Jeffrey Devries. We are hoping that justice is served, and because he did score the highest on the exam, we're wishing him the best, he and his attorney. And I'm hoping that it all works out well for him. Perhaps he will move on to another district altogether, somewhere where the administration hasn't lost their doggone mind. Now, this is enough, y'all. Whew, have mercy. But anyway, guys, you know we love you here at Southern Confidential. Thank you for tuning in. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for all updates, and we will see you on the next video.